on, everybody? Happy Monday. We're going to do some more digging in this Epstein thing. I'm going to let you guys listen to Alex Jones talk about it for a little while, see where we go. All right, here it is. We'll come in and discuss it after people start joining.
Go on Fox like deer in the headlights, like they were both had guns to their head, hostages. The body language was, this is BS. You couldn't come across as more disingenuous. It completely blew up in their face, and they went around continually doing it on other shows. Now, they're both very smart men, and very smart people obviously wargamed all of that. And it flew 100% in the face of what they'd said previously and what Pam Bondi, the AG, had said literally weeks before that. Hundreds of new victims, videos, Epstein and others raping children. It's so horrible. And then doing a 180 and saying, you know, we're going to release the video soon of Epstein killing himself, then it's not that. And just all this, you could not hurt the Trump administration worse if you tried to. And so this is 100% like a Japanese samurai taking a short sword and jabbing it in on the right side of his stomach, drawing it towards the middle, and then pushing it up and jabbing it in their heart. Seppuku. So why is the DOJ particularly committing seppuku? I mean, their credibility before with the Democrats was in ruins. But to watch a self-inflicted wound like this, because I know this story and this issue up one side and down the other. And obviously, I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning, and this had broken overnight, but out about 6-8 hours, and it was another vicious punch to the stomach. And then it took me a couple hours. I mean, I instantly knew what was going on, but a few hours to process and really think about it. And I know in the main exactly what's going on. And I made some phone calls to people like Roger Stone and FBI whistleblower Carl Serafin and others, and they all basically concurred with my analysis. In fact, Stone was already saying it before I gave my opinion. I said, what's your opinion? It was exactly the same thing, because it's not our opinion. So if you want to know exactly what's going on here, in the main, I mean, I know in the 35,000-foot view that there's a lot of particular components, and what you're going to get from me today is just the facts. You can make your own decision about all this. But understanding the way they fell on their sword this way was part of an obvious deal with the deep state to go out and join us in the conspiracy, and then you'll have a deal with us to stop trying to kill Trump and the rest of it. I mean, that's what this is. And we're going to lay it all out straight ahead. We normally run our biggest sale of the year right before Christmas. But 2025 is such a special year with the Great Awakening and everything that's happening. We're offering the biggest sale of the year right now in July. It is the 1776 July.
So all this stuff that's going on is just a bunch of crap. There's a lot of questions about, like, why don't the prison doors match from the pictures that they released when he first died to the video that they just released. There's a minute of video missing from the video that they just released yesterday from, I guess, from 11:58 and whatever seconds to midnight. There was a minute and a half of video footage missing. So why is that? Why is that video look like an open tier unit when a special housing unit is not a tier? So it sounds like Alex is coming back on, so let's get back into it.
Big brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want to stop tyranny? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
It is 7:25 as I come to you from the Embattled InfoWars studios in Austin, Texas. We are in the 167th day of the administration, about to go into the beginning of the 168th. I know exactly what's going on with the Epstein cover-up firestorm, and I'll be laying it all out, interspersed with other key news today with Roger Stone, Kyle.
Also, to anybody watching, you got to bear with us. We're still learning this process. I've only been doing live videos, so you just got to bear with us while we're still learning. And the quality of our videos will get better. We have a lot more equipment on the way. We just upgraded our camera and stuff like that. We're just waiting on parts to come in to get it all set up.
Seraphin and others. But first, let's go back in the last year to the time vault with President Trump and J.D. Vance and what they had to say about the Epstein client list. We're now told doesn't exist. Here it is.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
All right. There's a lot of pieces to this, and it's important to review the history some. And we'll be getting Kyle Seraphin, very well known, very respected FBI whistleblower. So much what we know about the deep state and its corruption and targeting American people because of him and others. We have Roger Stone, obviously long-term Trump confidant and wingman, who knows a lot about Trump's sexual proclivities. And I can tell you from many other sources, it's not children. And it would have been brought out if any of the stuff that the left tried to put out about him is true. That said, here's the summation of what's going on, and then I'm going to walk through it all. They knew the Democrats under Comey and his daughter in New York had this giant trove that they gleaned from the Caribbean and New Mexico and New York out of the layers of Jeffrey Epstein. And so when they didn't turn it over, they raided them now 4 months ago. And then Bondi went on Fox News and said, yes, there's thousands of files, meaning computer files, video files, you name it, and it's terrible, children abuse, and it will come out. And then she got caught undercover, basically even elaborating, and then when she knew that video was coming out, she talked about it at a press conference a few days later. That was James O'Keefe. And there had been rumblings in D.C. about an ongoing cover-up. We knew it was going on previously. And I said, it's too early to tell. We got to see. And then when Bondi, we confirmed this from Seraphin and others, sent the files out to offices around the country, which is what you do if you're going to start investigating something. That's how the law works. A few months later, I talked to Seraphin and other sources. They said, no one's working on it. So what they did is load the gun, cock the gun, put it to the deep state CIA head. That's what this is. And Trump's got his guy, supposedly Ratcliffe, over there. And they said, make a deal with us and basically roll over and surrender and stop your deep state attacks. And we were elected, let us run things, and we'll shut this down. That's what happened. Trump doesn't have sex with children. Trump was never involved in any of it. We've had the court cases. We've had the witnesses. We've had multiple women they killed saying, no, I never saw Trump on the island. The two men were socialites in New York. They lived in the same area of Florida. He was a member of the club. 15, 16, 17 years ago, Trump kicked him out for trying to pick up people's 14-year-old daughters, which is what he was well known for, going out and procuring. And was quite the workhorse of evil. And so we know this backwards and forwards. I know a lot of people that have stayed with Trump and in New York, other places, and they've gone out with him, partied with him, doesn't drink, has his wife in between that, has girlfriends. And Roger used to be his wingman when Trump didn't want people to know who his girlfriends were. They would go out to dinner so he could take his girlfriends out. That's really where Roger and Trump got together. That's been in the New York Times 20 years ago, but Roger doesn't like to talk about it, but that's the thing. And you see Trump's type. It's his wife. Very intimidating, very feminine, very powerful. Lightning bolts shooting out of her eyes. If you understand criminology and the way pedophiles operate in psychology, men that like flamethrower powerful women are not attracted to children. People like the people that have been running the medical system, the guy that's not a doctor but globally controls all the poison shots, that's what one looks like and acts like. A creepy, wicked, evil person. So we've got their MO. From all the MO we know about Bill Clinton, he likes to beat up and rape women and bite them. Not big on the kids, but he'll screw a 15, 16-year-old girl. I know the sexual proclivities of all these people because they have long histories. Dick Cheney, not into men. A bunch of the Republicans are. He likes to break women's jaws. We know the stuff has come out. So Trump is not a pedophile. And that said, I just am getting that on the record from my research. By doing this, though, the Trump administration is getting in bed with the elements of the CIA, MI6, and Mossad that ran this whole thing. And it is documented that Ghislaine Maxwell's father was Mossad, MI6, and on the Russian payroll. It's on record when the scandal came out, he owned most of the dominant media in the UK with the government, MI6, that when that was coming out, they threw him off a boat and killed him. It's on record that that was the family franchise. It's on record that when Epstein married his daughter, he was marrying into the Mossad operation. She was the boss, not Epstein. So you now have Prince Andrew off the hook with this. And behind the scenes, 100%, you know the CIA directors met with Trump many times on this, and they said, load the gun, put it to their head, bring them to the edge, and then the deep state will roll over. But the deep state, the establishment, the globalists, said you have to go on television and you have to have the FBI director, deputy director, do a tour and say that he killed himself and say there was no client list and say there was no blackmail operations, and that's what you got to do. So this isn't the deep state blackmailing Trump. This is Trump administration in the blackmail business. So that's what this is. And so my integrity is king. That's not something I have to even think about doing. I cannot help it. And I say that because Trump is good overall. He does care about the country. He does want peace. He is doing the best economic plan that anybody can do. He is trying to get our morale up. They have cut off 96% of the human smuggling. They are rounding up the networks and all the rest of it. They're minors, so it cannot be in the news by law, but you see the arrests and the reports they're pouring in. Just like the 4 guys that killed Jamie White. We only know 2 of their names because the other 2 are 16. So I'm seeing Homan and their people, and I've got sources everywhere in the jails, in the FBI, on the border. They are. I mean, you see them. They are literally just explosively, for the small forces they've got, doing a great job. And this is not a defense of any of this going on. The only way I know how to report this, because I'm having my own, not even mental struggles with this, just trying to look at it all and see what it is. The globalists have wanted Trump dead. They've wanted him destroyed. They've come after him. They have viciously come after me and hundreds of other prominent people. Tens of thousands they've come after, but hundreds extremely. I have sacrificed so much for Trump. I know you have as well, because I want to save the country and save the world. And overall, and I'm not a lesser of two evils person, overall, I'm very glad Trump is in. But now you understand why Musk, and he's bounced back. He doesn't look like 10 years older now, but there was about a 2-week period, I remember saying probably the crew, because I don't want to run people down. Man, Musk looks really bad. And of course, I didn't think he was on drugs. He did a big test, put it out totally clean. And he's like Trump. He swills Diet Coke. That's a drug, very toxic. But other than drinking poison Diet Coke all day long, like Trump, no, he's not on anything but Diet Coke. Trump's on Diet Coke and Sudafed. Okay, fine. But let's just get everything out here. So within a week period, he looked like he aged 10 years, like his soul was sucked out. And you can see Elon Musk has got a good soul. You can see most of his actions are good. But the point is that he looked really freaked out and really shaken up. And I'm sure at the level he was at, he was read in on what was about to happen. Now, he says Trump is on the list. The list is a dumb way of putting it. There are houses, that's in the FBI reports, houses full. The quote was, you could fill houses with what was at Zorro Ranch alone. Huge safes. We have the photos, file cabinets full of VHS going back decades, DVDs, hard drives, memory sticks, folders listing what it all is. These different world leaders and corporate leaders come to Zorro Ranch, come to Little St. John's Island. They come to the New York dungeon to have sex with children, knowing they're on camera. That is your initiation. Just like MS-13. To get higher up in it, you got to kidnap and kill, rape and kill a little girl for Satan. You know, the old-fashioned Italian mafia, you just got to, kill people. It's not just kill one person and make your bones. You got to proficiently kill, and if you don't kill them and do a good job, it just doesn't happen because you can't do other killings if you didn't do a professional job. So, but you see, that type of mafia was just bound on culture and honor. Well, in the modern age, it's not enough that they, got, okay, this guy's killed 10 people for us. Now we can trust him. No. You got to go in when some 10-year-old that's been used up for 6 months in a dungeon is fighting and going crazy and, and it's, all right, go, they're used up. Go give them a dirt nap. And they make these world leaders and political leaders, they got to go into a dungeon and they got to strangle or shoot or whatever they tell them to do, beat them to death, stab them to death, whatever they tell them. I talked to people who've seen it. It's come out. It's been in reports. It's not stuff you really see on the news. And they go to these bankers and people, and they tell them. They tell their wives, too. Listen, remember all that stuff you did? All the kids raping, all the rest of it? We're going to kill you if you don't go to this address, and if you don't go into this room, and if you don't kill these kids we got in cages. And they grab them by the throat and they say, you understand? You wanted into this. You wanted to be part of this. You get in there and you kill them right now. And that's how this thing works. Got it? So grow up. Realize who we're up against. Pure 100% Satanism. This is the real deal. So that's where we are. And you've got all these people going, oh, did this happen for national security because Trump learned that Epstein was CIA and Mossad? Well, of course, everybody knows that. And you got Barr, who was the head of in the CIA and then Attorney General twice, his dad running the girls' school where Jeffrey Epstein, with no education degree, tutored the girls as his first job in New York. And then Barr's dad writes a book about a space colony of little girls that the galactic elite go and rape. So they like to tell you what they're up to. And so this has all been a big joke to discredit the FBI, discredit the DOJ, and to have them take part in this. And Pam Bondi, oh, here's all the files. And then she learns from a New York source, broke it here with O'Boyle, another big FBI whistleblower. 2 days before it broke, he said, no, our guy's just going to meet with her today, letting her know that there's actually this giant trove in New York. And then you see her go, oh my gosh, put a cover sheet on, say, oh my gosh, I'm going to go expose it. I'm going to ship it over there. And then you got these forces behind the scenes that are manipulating all this, saying, see, Bondi's got it. It's being sent to the FBI. Better to do what we say. And so Bondi and Patel and Bongino, I guarantee you we're not even in on those high-level discussions. Now, other people came to him and said, listen, this is how this really works, okay? And it's for the greater good, and we're now going to control all these networks. We're shutting the networks down. Got home and doing that, which they are, all evidence. But for the country and the world, if this all comes out, all these corporate leaders and bankers and people doing this, if this comes out, it'll bring the country down. And we've got the UK, and the King of England is going to get in line with us, everybody else with this information, but they don't want that held over their head. You're going to have to come out, and you're going to have to tell everybody that he didn't kill himself, and put out a ridiculous video of the hallway entrance to the wing and cops, you know, dragging trash cans around and bringing people, you know, food. And oh, look, well, you know, down that wing, you know, nothing, you know, he just killed himself. See, we're showing you this. Oh, wow, incredible. Nobody went in that door but police. Jail guards. Yeah, but who's in there with him? He already said months before the cop convicted for murdering a bunch of people with his bare hands was in there and already tried to kill him. So this is what we get. So if it doesn't make sense, I mean, obviously, if they were going to cover this up, they would have just said, oh, we're investigating, and just shut up about it. But they never did that. They instead run around looking like they're being made to walk the plank by Captain Hook, and there's a crocodile down there about to eat them. Because Bongino, I know people that know him for a long time, he is a great guy. Cash Patel's a great guy. And they're now in the big leagues of the intelligence agencies, and I'll guarantee you, they've said, oh, we've seen the files. Yeah, imagine they go, okay, here's 14 terabytes of kids getting raped. And they're just like, oh, we can't show. You see, it show. But now they're going into the networks. But if you think, though, these networks are really going to give up, if you think they've really made the deal, I wouldn't trust those people. On top of a mountain at noon with the sun shining. I wouldn't turn my back on them for a millisecond. So this is 100% the CIA, Mossad, MI6 that are the same thing. Zbigniew Brzezinski, I've read all of his books. One of them he wrote in the 70s. I remember my dad when I was like 7 years old. I always wanted to read that book once I could understand it. He's like, this is a Brzezinski book, Carter's National Security Advisor. This is how it really works. He admits that they run the criminal networks, including the child trafficking and pedophilia. And I go, what's that? It's, they grab kids. Well, my dad's doing, but dad's constantly telling me about how the world works. And he goes, when you get old enough, you read this. He's in here admitting, he goes, well, we control the evil by controlling it. We have to run all the criminal networks and all the systems, but that way it doesn't get out of control. We control evil by being the evil. And last time I was on Patrick McDavid, I talked about that and told that story there. I need to remember which book that was, but Brzezinski before he died got up at the CFR, their version in Canada, and said, before we could propagandize 1 million people and it worked. Now we just need to kill everybody. We don't have what it takes anymore just to control everybody with brainwashing. Now it's just easier to kill everybody. And he said, I didn't have the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot kill all those millions of people, a third of the population in Cambodia. He said, but I set them up and gave them the orders to do it. You can pull that quote up. Just type it in. Zbigniew Brzezinski talks about Pol Pot. It's like, oh, I didn't do the killing. The U.S. didn't do the killing. We just set him up to do it. Something even worse than communism. It was communism. It just didn't call itself communism. You can read or write, you're dead. You're wearing glasses, you're dead, because that means you know how to read. I mean, that's the communist to the next level. And that's why they all worship Brzezinski, because he was one of their top strategists. And it's all about how many people you've killed, how vicious you are, how soulless you are. And I had these people, I had Henry Kissinger try to harm me right in front of John Harmon, the head of the Kissinger group. They gave the speech right in front of my producer. That's the only reason I've told you that story. I've been given that speech probably 20 times by the globalists, okay? They're 100% real. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The biggest sale in the history of thealexjonesstore.com is now live. It's the 1776 July 4th, 2020.
Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, it's like Comey 2.0. I mean, these guys are covering up for everyone. My opinion is that we got to protect kids at all costs, and these guys are just letting these fucking scumbags get away with it, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it's not one thing; it's another with this government. It's just insane. I can't stand seeing this stuff happen. We're going to sign off for a while. I got some errands to run, but I will be back on tonight, and I hope to see you here. Don't forget to like and subscribe.